Okay, good evening all. I'm Hayward Broomfield, acting as the mayor today as our mayor is out of town. First thing we're going to be doing today is a proclamation from the Safe Alliance, and I'm going to hand it over to Martina to give her a little spiel.
Okay. Thank you, Hayward. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today as we take time to acknowledge Pride Month. Safe Alliance thanks the town of Happy Valley Goose Bay and folks in attendance for supporting the proclamation and eventual flag raising when the weather is with us a little bit better. Safe Alliance is a dedicated volunteer group committed to promoting respect, inclusion, diversity, and equality for 2S LGBTQIA+ individuals in our community. Your attendance today sends an important message that all of our residents in the community need to hear. As we gather today, we want to respectfully acknowledge the land on which we gather as the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Innu of Nitassinan, the Inuit of Nunatsiavut, the Inuit of Nuutuhavut, and we recognize all First Peoples who are here before us, those who live with us now and the generations to come. As First Peoples have done since time immemorial, we strive to be responsible stewards of the land and to respect cultures, ceremonies, and traditions of all who call it home. As we open our hearts and our minds to the past, we commit ourselves to working in the spirit of truth and reconciliation to make a better future for all. Pride Month is a time of celebration, reflection, and action. It is a time to honor the progress we've made towards equality and to recognize the ongoing struggles faced by 2S LGBTQIA individuals. It is also a moment to hold ourselves accountable and to ensure that our community is a safe, inclusive, and supportive place for everyone. While we have come so far, we have so much further to go. As a community, we must hold ourselves accountable for creating an environment where every individual, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression, feels respected and valued. This means acknowledging and addressing any biases, discrimination, or exclusionary practices that may exist within our institutions, workplaces, and social circles. It also means listening to the voices of those who have been marginalized and taking concrete steps to support them. Support comes in many forms. It can be simple as being an ally and showing kindness and acceptance to those around us, and it can also mean offering resources and services that cater to the specific needs of 2S LGBTQIA folks, such as mental health support, safe spaces, and social networks. As a volunteer organization, we are committed to providing these resources and creating opportunities for connection and growth. We encourage everyone to get involved, whether it's volunteering, donating, or simply being there for a friend in need. We call upon all members in our community to advocate for 2S LGBTQIA rights and protections. This includes supporting policies and legislation that promote equality and non-discrimination, such as inclusive healthcare, safe schools, and workplaces that are free from discrimination. Advocacy also means standing up against hate speech, violence, and any forms of prejudice. Let us use our voices to amplify the message that love is love and everyone deserves to live with dignity and respect. As long as we have residents in our community who experience oppression, fear, and despair because of who they are or who they love, we need to continue to promote pride and raise awareness. We need to educate ourselves and others about the diverse experiences and challenges faced by 2S LGBTQIA individuals. This can be achieved through community events, educational programs, and open dialogues by fostering a culture of understanding and empathy. We can break down barriers and build a more inclusive community. In conclusion, Pride Month is not just a celebration, it is a call to action. Pride is political. Let us come together as a community to create a more inclusive future for all. Let us hold ourselves accountable, advocate for change, raise awareness, and offer unwavering support to our 2S LGBTQIA friends and neighbors. Together, we can build a community where everyone is free to be their true selves. Thank you for your time and commitment to making our community a better and safer place for all. Thank you and happy Pride Month.
Okay, thank you, Martina. So I've been asked to read the proclamation, which I shall do right now. Proclamation from the Safe Alliance. Whereas the town of Happy Valley Goose Bay is committed to promoting a diverse and inclusive community where all residents can live, work, and thrive without fear of discrimination, prejudice, or violence. And whereas Pride Month honors the history, achievements, and contributions of two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, sexual, additional people of diverse genders and sexualities, as well as recognizing the ongoing struggle for equal rights and justice. And whereas the two SLGBTQ1A plus community has significantly enriched the cultural, social, and economic fabric of our municipality through the reliance or resilience, creativity, and advocacy. And whereas celebrating Pride Month supports community or municipality values of equality, acceptance, human dignity for all individuals, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. And whereas this month provides an opportunity for education, reflection, and action to continue advancing the rights and well-being of the two SLGBTQ1A community, while affording understanding and respect amongst all residents. Now, therefore, I, George Andrews, or Hayward Broomfield, of Happy Valley Goose Bay, do hereby proclaim June 24th as Pride Month in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and encourage all residents to join celebrating the rich diversity and contributions of the two SLGBTQ1A community, and to work towards a future where everyone is respected and valued. Thank you. Okay,
Awesome. Thank you.
so let me take this.
Leave it here and we'll post it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Good evening, all. It's now 5:03. We'll be starting our meeting on Tuesday, May the 28th. And we have the agenda in front of us. And as you can tell, I'm in the chair this evening as acting as the mayor is out of town, and our deputy mayor is away as well. Our deputy mayor is actually on the phone calling in. Mayor, sorry. Do you hear us there, Mayor Andrews?
I hear you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so you have the agenda in front of you. Any items, additions, or? Okay, so I ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Looking for a second there, please.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Compton Hobbs, seconded by Councillor Rumbold. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And any against? Motion is passed. Okay, we had one delegate registered, but there's no delegate showing up this evening, I take it?
That's correct.
Okay, so we have the first item is the adoption of the previous minutes, which was held on April the 23rd, 2024. Calling for a motion to adopt it.
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Councillor Compton Hobbs, looking for a second there.
I'll second it.
Second by Councillor Pomeroy. Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against or opposed? Motion is carried. So we have, first item is correspondence, and the correspondence is improved. There's none in our packet, I don't think, was there?
A municipal assessment.
Oh, the letter from Municipal Affairs, right?
Assessment roll for tax year 2025.
Okay, that's the assessment agency, notice from the assessment agency that the assessments were done for next tax year, 2025. Okay, so that one,
Is in the packet.
so the first committee to present is Community Planning and Development Committee. So I move pass the floor up to the chair of the Community Planning and Development Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Broomfield. So the Community Planning and Development Committee met on May the 21st. Present was myself, Councillor Bert Pomeroy, Councillor Denise Rumble, CAO Nadine McCauley, Engineer Randy Dillon, ET Mark Urquhart, GIS Mark McCrittis, and EA Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy. Meeting was called to order at 4:49. There was one delegation, Wade Lynch, who presented on 17 and 19 Brett. Approval of the agenda, we added one item, Airbnbs. We reviewed the minutes, there's no errors or omissions. There were 12 building permits issued in April. There was no deferred Crown Land applications. We had several new Crown Land applications that I will be going through shortly. There was a home-based business discretionary land use that I'll bring forward shortly. There was two items that I had to declare conflict that someone will bring forward once we get to that recommendation. We talked about some amendment regulation, development regulation updates, doggy daycare, non-marketing housing, minor edits, and 25 Montagnus. Under new business, there was another item that I will remove myself for a conflict that will, when I bring it forward as a recommendation. We received some information around a survey report around where's the food. We had a brief discussion on Uber, shuttle, taxi information. So we asked for some future information on this, which staff will do some research and bring it back to the next meeting. And the same as Airbnbs, we've asked that the town do some research on this. We know now that they have to be registered with the province as of March 31st, anybody who owns Airbnb in Happy Valley Goose Bay. So, Mr. Osmond has been working on this item and will bring some information forward in our June meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June the 18th. I ask that you please accept my report as presented.
Thank you, Council Copeland-Hobbs. Looking for a seconder for her report.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Council Palmer. Any questions or comments on Council Copeland-Hobbs' report? If you're hearing no comments or questions, I call for a motion. Those all in favor, vote aye.
All right.
Aye. Those against?
That was
Mayor Andrews?
Oh, he's off the speaker.
He said aye, he said.
Oh, okay.
He said aye.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties.
Okay, and you have a few resolutions, I take it?
Yes, I do. So the first recommendation under the Community Planning and Development Committee is, I'll do this one first. 1719 Brett Street, Lloyd Hillier, Comprehensive Plan Development. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council support and approve the application from Lloyd Hillier for a comprehensive plan 4x single-story fourplex housing discretionary land use application at 17 and 19 Brett Street, subject to compliance with all the town regulations and basic conditions, with special attention to the following conditions under the comprehensive development. A permanent fence be constructed around the two sides and the rear of the lot to help with the dust and construction debris blowing around prior to beginning construction on the buildings. Landscaping must be completed as per the agreed landscaping plan within 1 year to minimize effect on surrounding properties. Surface water must be dealt with as per the town's stormwater detention policy, which must be submitted to the Director of Engineering prior to construction start.
Okay, thank you, your Council Copeland-Hobbs. Looking for a seconder.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Council Pomeroy. Any comments or discussion on this? Council Pomeroy first.
Sorry.
I just, a lot of this information has come in today, and really haven't had a lot of time to absorb it all and ask some questions regarding, particularly with landscaping plan and the permanent fence. There are some conditions that are there. I think that it's important to have the conditions in place, but in some ways I feel like we're being a little bit rushed in making this decision. I know that time is of the essence. I do support housing development in our community. I think it's badly needed, and so that's the comment I want to make on that.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Council Copeland-Hobbs.
Yeah, I agree that it was a bit frustrating as chair of this committee, receiving information on the 11th hour, like this afternoon. Trying to get some of these conditions put in, and in fairness, it is under a comprehensive development, so it's new to this council, it's new in our regulations, so. But I do know that Mr. Hillier put his application in on February the 12th. It was already deferred at one meeting. We asked a lot of questions when this discussion happened in our community planning meeting. Housing, we're in a housing crunch in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, as we all know. It's important, to have more housing in the community for sure. But yeah, concerning that it was the last minute before we got some of this information.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Rumble.
Thank you, Councilor Broomfield. As the third member of this committee, I'll also add my comments. I think Mr. Hillier, who did appear as a delegate at our meeting, he expressed his frustration as a developer that he would like to get things started. We all recognize that there is a need, a dire need, for additional rental properties in the area. The niche that he appears to be focusing on would be one-bedroom units, which there's already been recognized a sore need for. So you're talking about single people or, smaller need, limited square footage. I think that what he has come up with is fabulous. I like that Mr. Hillier had a willingness to comply with the conditions that we are putting in place. But I guess just a point of clarity, I mean, when we say, and the 11th hour part that Councillor Compton Hobbs referred to, is we were kind of scrabbling to make sure that if we're going to approve this, it's done right. And so the comments, the conditions about a permanent fence and landscaping, and this is the way we need to go with all future development. If we're going to be approving projects, we want to balance that side of needing, the need for the community, the need for housing, with making sure it's done right as well. So we can't just rush through something and say, go ahead, without recognizing the impact on the neighbors and the neighborhood. So I think we're on the right track. And I think that if we continue in this way, that we can have both that welcoming open door for developers, along with a clear understanding of what fits in our community. So that was just my comment.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Rumble. Councillor Palmer, I believe, was the next one.
I guess for the town engineer, would there be assurances that these units will not be used for short-term rentals? In terms of like overnight rentals, B&Bs, overflow from hotels, stuff like that? Is there anything in our regulations that prevent that from happening, or would he be able to do that?
Well,
If
it would
he
have to
wanted-
comply,
I'm
it
not
would have to
saying this.
comply with the development regulations. Whatever development regulations say, it would have to be in compliance. Right now, I think in that particular zoning, is now zoned for multi-unit residential.
Okay, just
units.
wanted to clear it up because of some people had approached me and had indicated that it could potentially be used as a overflow from the hotels, but I said I asked a question at council meeting to get clarification on what the uses can be in that zone, that's all.
Yes, would have to be in compliance with the uses in the zone, and to my knowledge, is not to be used for overflow from hotels and so on.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Palmer. Councillor Compton Hobbs.
I just wanted to add, because I had a few questions in the public on this one. Just to clarify, 17 and 19 Brett is 2 lots, so there's 2 fourplexes going on each lot. So that's 16, and people were saying like, how are you gonna do the snow clearing? How are you gonna park all the vehicles? There's 400 square feet each unit, so which allows for the snow clearing and the parking. And we've discussed this in our meeting, and it do fit. It's being recommended by staff and the engineer that it does fit and will fit on these 2 lots. Just to clarify that.
Okay, thank you. And just to clarify too, or point out that this council also approved the process for dealing with the stormwater detention, and that's why he was delayed, I would presume,
Absolutely.
before he finally gets his approval. Any further comments or questions on this one? Barring no more comments or questions?
The mayor would like to comment. I'll have to.
Did we lose him over this?
We lost him off of the Polycom.
Last him
He's-
off is
appears to be on
we
Mr.
lost
Dillon's
him off
phone.
The speaker.
Who was he connected with?
He's connected with me, but he says that it's connected on speaker, but it's not coming through the speaker.
Do you still show his call there?
Well,
Do you still see his call there?
I know he's on, I can hear him.
Can we take a short recess until we figure out these technical
Yeah.
difficulties?
Hang on, and I'll phone you back.
Okay.
Okay, ready to go, Your Worship?
Okay, no, just want to make a comment that, I think this is a good approval or a good recommendation. And the reason I say that is because it puts in, for the first time, I think it puts in some mitigating measures like the fencing, like the stormwater thing. So I think it hopefully will guard against, people just clearing a lot and then not doing anything. So I think that's great. The other side is I think we need to be very careful as a council that we not be the impediment for people building. And I know in this particular case, there was a bit of a delay, and the particular proponent, Mr. Hillier, was going to have to wait another month before this could go ahead. So I commend the committee for doing what they had to do and for coming up with a good recommendation. So I will be supporting it.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Any further questions or comments on it? Okay, barring none, I call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Your next,
All right, so the next recommendation, Crown Land application, 122-191, 30 Burnt Point. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council provide no objection to Crown Lands application 122-191, located at 30 Burnt Point, on the condition that future development complies with the town's development regulations.
okay, thank you, your Councilor Copenhobbs. Or look for a second there first, please. Thank you, Councilor
I'll second
Pomeroy.
that.
Second, okay.
Thanks.
Any questions or comments now?
I just add that this is a straightforward application for a change from a lease to a grant.
Oh, okay, yeah. Any further questions or comments? Okay, barring none, calling for the vote. All in favor, vote with aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any against? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Crown Land application 162-575-646 Churchill Falls Road. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council provide no objection to Crown Lands application 162-575 located at the Trans-Labrador Highway across from Quarry Road on the condition that future development complies with the town's development regulations.
Okay, that was the motion. Calling for a second there.
Second.
Councilor Rumble, second there. Thank you. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, barring none, calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? None against. Motion is carried. Thank you.
Next, Crown Land application 162-576. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council provide no objection to Crown Lands application 162-576, located on the Trans-Labrador Highway across from Quarry Road, on the condition that future development complies with the town's development regulations.
Thank you. Looking for a second there? Councilor Rumble? Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments on this one?
I do have a comment.
Okay, Councilor Rumble.
Just as a point of clarity, these two consecutive applications, 575 and 576, I think one is for the parcel of land, the other would be just for an access road to get to the parcel of land.
Correct.
So, linked in together.
Okay, thank you for clarification. Any further questions or comments? Barring none, calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? None against. Motion is carried. Thank you.
Crown Land application 162-592. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council object to Crown Lands application 162-592, located at 49 Valley View Drive, as the area is being considered for rezoning.
I'll second it.
Second by Councilor Palmer. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Just a quick comment on that one, Chair. That area right now is a green space behind residents on Valley View. And we'd like to keep it that way, and rezoning the area to open space parks and trails is something that we would consider as a committee, and so for that reason, we're not supporting it as a committee.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Okay, calling for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Crown Land application 162637, 49 Montagnus Road. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council object to Crown Land's application 162367, located at 49 Montagnus Road, as residential use is not permitted or discretionary use for open space, parks and trails, zone type.
Thank you. Calling for a seconder? Councilor Rumble. Any questions or comments?
It's straightforward, it's not permitted, so it's
Yeah.
pretty straightforward.
Okay,
Yeah, all I was going to say on the same was that it is a simple matter of OSPT doesn't allow. I think in this case, the motivation for the application from the resident was maybe, I don't know if it was a new purchase, but there is a, like a dwelling, a shed on that area, and I don't, there's nothing we can do. It's not within our discretion, so.
okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments?
Yeah, just a question from me. In terms of Crown Lands, why would they even entertain such an application? It may be a question for Mr. Dillon, but why would Crown Lands entertain an application similar to this one?
Well, I think the fact that they had the application, they referred it to all the relevant parties, and depending upon the response they get, they'll judge their decision based on those responses.
Yeah, to me, it just seems like it's a lot of wasted time, because if it's not permitted, it's not permitted in a particular zoning. But anyway, no problem.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they actually consult our documents before they actually send it to us. I don't really know.
Sure, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Okay, calling for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Home-based business application, 39A Hamilton River Road. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council support and approve the home-based business application at 39 Hamilton River Road for Inspectra Safe Construction, which will operate a phone, internet, email-only home office for a construction company, subject to compliance with all the town's development regulations and conditions.
Thank you, Councilor Hobbs. Looking for a second there.
I'll second it.
Councilor Pomeroy. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Chair, I have three motions left, but there's one that I'm gonna clear. Next one is the conflict, and then there's one in between, and then another one. So I'm gonna go ahead with the one in between so that whoever
yeah.
chairs can do the two together.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So H, minor edits. The Community Planning Development Committee recommends council support and approve the motion to adopt the Happy Valley Goose Bay Development Regulation Amendment number 3, 2024, with amendments, multiple minor edits such as formatting and punctuation types.
Thank you. Looking for a second there? Councilor Rumble. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Again, this is one here is really just for cleaning up all the small errors that have been recorded over the years. Okay, so there's really nothing substantive, just cleaning it up a bit. So calling for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
So Chair, the next two, I'm going to declare a conflict and hand it over to Councilor Pomeroy.
Thank you. So Councillor Compton Hauser has cleared the conflict on the next two motions to be voted on. So she'll be stepping away from the chambers.
Yes, thank you, Chair. 8 Learning Street, Happy Valley Goose Bay Housing and Homeless Coalition. The Community Planning and Development Committee recommends council support and approve the application from the Happy Valley Goose Bay Housing and Homeless Coalition for a 10% variance in minimum rear yard setback, subject to compliance with all the town's development regulations and conditions.
Okay, thank you. Looking for a second there now. Councillor Rumble, any questions or comments on this one?
Just like in terms of a variance, Chair, the 10% is the maximum we could allow.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So no further questions or comments? Calling for the vote, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Okay, the next recommendation, again with this property, 8 Learning Street, comprehensive plan development. The Community Planning and Development Committee recommends council confirm, support, and approval for the application from Housing and Homeless Coalition Happy Valley Goose Bay to add a second fourplex at 8 Learning Street as part of a comprehensive plan development with all the regulations and conditions now being met.
Thank you. Calling for a second there on this. Thank you, Councillor Rumble. Any comments or questions on this one? No, hearing none, calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, that's it for the motions for the community planning development.
Welcome back.
And Councillor Compton Hodge is now returning to her chair. Okay, thank you, Councillor Compton Hodge, for all these resolutions and motions. Next one is the Community Service and Recreation Committee.
Thank you, Chair. The Community Service and Recreation Committee met on Tuesday, May the 14th, 2024, and our meeting was called to order at 4:30 p.m. Present were myself as chair, Deputy Mayor Ella Wallace, Councillor Hayward Broomfield, CAO Nadine McCauley, Director of Protective Services Brad Butler, Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy, and Community Development Manager Greg Osmond. 2 delegations presented to committee before the business portion of the meeting began. First, Leo and Mary Abbas presented on behalf of the newly established 50 Plus Club in Happy Valley Goose Bay. They provided the mission statement of the club and their mandate to improve quality of life, physical and mental health, wellness awareness, connectivity, intergenerational and cross-community communication. They discussed possibilities of funding and grants and updated us on their upcoming events. They have applied for incorporation, which will allow them to apply for funding through several funding streams. They currently have over 200 members, with 120 of those being paid memberships. Their membership fee is currently set at $15, with $10 going towards the Provincial Federation and the remaining $5 being used for seed money. Providing activities and events for members obviously has a cost, and they are looking to organizations for support, including the town, whether it be in-kind or financial contributions. Committee thanked them for their presentation and for their innovation in starting this program in our community, and also requested that they submit a request to the town in writing for support. The second delegation was by Visual Sports Image Limited via a remote meeting from Victoria, BC. Their representative, Tyler Parsons, explained to committee the background and operations of his business. He summarized the timeline of his contact with the former CSR director and explained that he was not aware that council was not provided with any information prior to the signing of an agreement. He provided clarification, answered questions that the committee had with respect to the obligations of both parties, maintenance and equipment. He also explained that his company typically only solicits the local business community 1 week a year with an advertising sales blitz. Following his presentation, committee discussed placement of the TV that is already installed in our arena and where the other TV, which is part of the signed agreement, should now be placed. Committee tasked Director of Protective Services Butler to look into strategic areas to place the TVs to be most effective, and he will advise the committee. Following the delegations, committee then approved the agenda with items added to other business. We reviewed the previous minutes and action items. No errors or omissions were noted. Action items update. All items were reviewed and updates noted. Many of the items are now able to be marked as completed and are no longer ongoing. For new business, an arena center ice clock was discussed. Deputy Mayor Wallace advised that Craig Penny, on behalf of the Lake Melville Minor Hockey Association, is applying for funding to purchase a center ice clock for the arena and would like a letter of support from the town to attach to his application. Committee asked that his request be submitted to the CAO in writing for action. Other business, summer recreation. The number of positions approved for the summer rec program through Canada Summer Jobs has been reduced this year from 7 to 5. The full program has never been operated with these few positions before, which is concerning to committee. There was much discussion about how the program should look this year with the reduced number of positions, and most importantly, how the program can be run safely and effectively. Committee was in agreement that we should entertain a reduced enrollment in the program and a specific targeted age group of 8 years of age and up. The local YMCA is also offering a summer program, and our hope is that if we focus on the older age group, those requiring care for younger children can still avail of their programs. We will work in conjunction with each other. It is unfortunate that we are left with a smaller scale, but we cannot run the risk of the program not being run well due to lack of staffing. There have already been some applications submitted to the town as the listings are posted through the federal government's job bank, but it was also suggested that the job ads need to be published by the town as soon as possible to ensure that we can fill these positions. A COA funding application. With the completion of the 2021 financial audit, the town is now eligible to apply for more funding geared towards tourism. The town previously applied for funding for trails in 2020, but that application was denied. As per discussion during a meeting with the COA, it was suggested that we can reapply for funding that can be used for trails if it also promotes tourism. We discussed focusing on the addition of maps, tourism info, QR codes on signs, etc. It was noted that the word trail should be replaced by terminology such as pathway, access, connection, or similar to ensure that we meet the necessary criteria. Flowers and landscaping. The town reached out to the Pie Center for flowers to see if they had the ability to provide and finally received a response last week. Unfortunately, it will not be feasible for this year. They should, however, be able to supply us for 2025. Blue Spade Greenhouse has a pre-order deadline of June the 1st. We are unsure at this time of the plans for Birdhouse Garden Market for this season. It was suggested we request quotes from suppliers and purchase flowers based on availability and the best price. Update on events. Director of Protective Services Butler advised that there are no changes that he is aware of to the event schedule, and everything will proceed as normal for the Junior Lab Cup this coming weekend. We had hoped to have netting replaced, but unfortunately the wrong size had been purchased last year. It has been returned to the supplier and will be replaced with the correct size netting when the turf is up and the blue floor is down, immediately following Expo. This must be done when the hard surface is down to avoid damaging the turf. The new soccer banner has now also been placed, and general maintenance will occur to make sure the arena is clean and ready for the upcoming events. This concluded the committee business, and the next meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, June the 11th at 4:30 p.m. There being no further discussion, the meeting adjourned at 6:43 p.m. I'd like to make a motion that my report be accepted as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Rumble. Looking for a second there, please. Thank you. Councillor Winters, seconded. Any questions or comments? Councillor Compton-Hards.
I got a couple questions, comments. You talked about the flooring. I don't know if it came up in your meeting, but I've heard quite a few soccer players mention how unsafe the turf is on top of the board. There's already been a few injuries. Apparently the turf is sliding on top of the board. I don't know if that was discussed in your meeting or not, but I dread to see, or I hope, there's not too many injuries this weekend because of that. There's been some one I know for sure, a serious injury during practice. So maybe that's something that needs to be looked at. If that's the case, going forward, we will know this weekend for sure how serious it is, or if it is a huge problem, but it needs to be fixed if it is. The other thing was summer rec. I don't agree with 3 councillors on a committee making a decision around summer rec when the rest of the council is not involved with these discussions at all. Such a huge impact to the community. I don't know if anybody on that committee has any experience with summer rec or age groups or any information from the past of which was a higher group that, the age group that showed, that registered, or, moving it to 8 from 5, should have been more input from all of council, not just 3 councillors on the Community Service and Recreation Committee, in my opinion. One of us might have, some of us, all of us might have had some information that we could have shared, or, been involved with the discussions or whatever. I know that it's been reduced from 7 to 5, but, you might have people around the table that has experience with summer rec or with the age group or how it's going to impact the community. So I just wanted to mention that. And the trails, the town done a study, a trail study. We're going to call it Pathways now. That's great. We did apply to a COA back in 2020. There's a study completed. There doesn't need to be any more done on pathways and how they connect with tourism, because there's a study already done by this town. So hopefully when whoever's applying through a COA will attach that study that's been completed. Yeah, I'll just leave it there for now.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pomeroy.
I just want a question with respect to the video displays at the arena. How long is that contract for? And is the town receiving any revenue from the advertising dollars that's generated?
Contract is for 5 years, and there is a portion share of revenue, and I have to look at our CAO. 10%. The town would receive 10% of the revenue that's collected by VSI.
And there's no way that we're bound by that contract? There's no way that we can get
We
out of
did
that contract?
investigate if it would be, we sought a legal opinion. We did investigate if it would be in our best interest to pursue legal action. And it was felt that it would be a more negative impact for us to go with the legal action than it would be just to stick with. Right now, although there is only 10%, I agree with you 100%, there is no cost to us. So we were very, very specific in our questions and our comments to this company as to who is responsible for maintenance, what if the TVs get damaged, who replaces them, is there any liability of us? And those were all questions we asked. And there isn't a onus on us. If some kid comes into the arena and breaks a TV with a hockey stick, that is not the town's responsibility to replace. We also had significant concerns about the business community and the way that they would be solicited. And we were reassured that it will be not a high-pressure sales pitch, that it would be a one-time a year on average 1-week advertising blitz, and that if we were to receive any negative feedback, that we could definitely reach out to the owner of VSI, and that would not be something that he would support and endorse. He doesn't want a negative experience.
And just, so this company, where's this company located to?
Victoria, British Columbia.
British Columbia. So we're taking money from one end of the country and putting it out in BC, and very little benefit to our community.
Absolutely.
That's not a very good contract in my view.
Not at all.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Pomeroy. It's absolutely, mind-boggling that we would have entered into this type of agreement, but, unbeknownst to us sitting around the table, that we did. And we're taking money directly out of our advertising that happens in the arena, i.e. the boards and, other opportunities from businesses in our community. And the relative value that they're getting is not very great. It's a small television screen in the arena that flashes an ad every once in a while. So very disappointing to find out that we had that contract, I guess, more or less imposed on us now.
And I will reiterate, as I said in my report, that the owner of the company, Mr. Parsons, was not aware that this was not taken to council, to committee or council. So he was under the impression that it had been, which is, again, very unfortunate. And just to respond to Councillor Compton-Hobbs, I mean, there's not much I can add, but I do want to say, as far as the turf goes, our committee meeting was held May 14th, so it was even in advance of Junior Lab Cup. We didn't have any feedback. So when you say, and I mean, everything in my committee report, like when I say Junior Lab Cup this coming weekend, it's because the actual committee meeting was held on. So yeah, we hadn't heard anything. For the part about the ACOA funding application, so we're not using any studies. It's not about studies. When I say pathway access connections, this is based 100% on feedback that was given to us by ACOA. So we had ACOA come visit us here at Chamber, sat down for a meeting with them. We said, okay, the 2020 application, which was before the 13th council, it was with the 12th council, we said, what could we do different to get an approval? And so when I say that in the report, that it was emphasized very much to us that do not refer to it as a trail, that if you want to access dollars, focus on things like connectivity and pathways. We did have a lovely conversation about the gateways, and there's some boards there that could be used for maps, QR codes for people to scan to see information about our community. So we did get a little bit excited about that, because we can take our existing trail system and our existing infrastructure and perhaps make some improvements based on their feedback. So we regret that it wasn't previously approved. We're not trying to redo what was done in 2020, but we have to take the feedback of the agency, which their feedback to us was, this is going to improve your chances of getting approved. And the final thing, the summer rec, lots and lots of discussion. Don't want you to think for one moment that we didn't heavily discuss this. I have to say my own personal opinion, and just my opinion, not that of the committee, is that anything that is going to be done has to be done safely and well. And if we are struggling with, 7 to 5, I'm sorry, that's a big percentage. Like, you're taking 2 whole bodies away with the ability. If that was my child, if I had young children, I just want to be comfortable, and I would want any parent to be comfortable that their children are going to be well supervised and well watched. So when we had to make some tough decisions, we certainly didn't want to do it, but it wasn't without a lot of thought into how can we make this work. And I'm sure that there will still be other suggestions that will come forward for how to make it work. It's not a done deal. It's just, this is what we did at the committee level.
Thank you.
And I know Councillor Winters had his hand up, so.
Yeah. Councillor Winters.
Yeah, I just want to talk on the turf. Yeah, I know there was a few serious injuries this year, but ever since the turf went down, there were serious injuries every year. I think the number of torn ACLs, twists, and I think it all has to do, from experience, I think it all has to do with the traction of the surface and maybe the footwear that people are using because they're so used to running on plywood. I think that's a major, major factor as to why, because I know there was a very serious injury this past couple weeks, and it has to do with traction. And it was unfortunate that, like when it comes to traction, the accident that happened next to the boards. But like going back to what I just said earlier, it has been happening ever since the turf was down. And again, I think there's several factors from experience. I think when you're playing at a high level, especially like the Lab Cup, you run and you really exert yourself in a way that you normally, like say, do in a high intense sport. And doing this on a surface that you don't use ever, the surface goes down 1 week and then you're on it the next. This is a surface that nobody has ever played on before, and they only get 2 or 3 weeks or up to a month of practice on it. So I think that plays a factor as well. So there's lots of factors that could go into it, and I agree with Councillor Compton-Hobbs, is there should be an investigation as to what can be done to reduce that. Maybe it's the length of the grass that the turf is made of, or length of whatever they call it. And footwear, the footwear could be a big factor too, whether you're wearing turf shoes or regular sneakers. That's another big problem, or something that could be looked into. But there definitely needs to be an investigation, because from experience, I've known that there are a lot more injuries since the turf went down than there was when it was on the wood floor.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions?
Just a couple comments. On the trails, I hope Rick Dawes listening, because the town will be applying for monies for pathways, and, you know, upgrading our trails in town, or adding more, or obviously we won't get any funding this year to do any trails, but hopefully next year, Mr. Daw. And just on the summer rec program, one more comment on that is, I know that the YMCA is running the program, but the difference with the town and the YMCA is the cost. It's more affordable for the community through the town. And I get reducing numbers when your staff goes from 7 to 5, but I'm concerned about the, you know, if we change the right age group of the numbers of children that register for the program. And I think it's key that we have the summer recreation program with the town this summer. And we don't have a CSR director right now, but we need to get one. But it's key to have that program up and operating this summer.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
I have no recommendations, thank you.
No. So, Councilor Pomeroy, Finance Administration Committee.
Thank you, Chair. The Finance Administration and Policy Committee met on Wednesday, May 22nd at 4:53 p.m. Present were myself as Chair, Councillors Broomfield and Winters, Chief Administrative Officer Nadeem McCauley, Director of Financial Operations Mike Dolman, Superintendent of Assessment and Taxation Kelsey Shelswell, Human Resources Manager Christina Egger, and Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy, who compiled the minutes. Regrets from Community Development Manager Greg Osmond. We reviewed the previous minutes and action items. There were no errors or omissions. With respect to the action items, I just want to inform Council that we're very close to finalizing a updated policy with respect to tax exemptions for not-for-profits. We hope to have a final draft, be ready for Council's review and consideration at our June public meeting. Committee received 2 donation requests from the Labrador Hunting and Fishing Association. The first was for a monetary donation to help the group purchase materials needed to continue building a shoreline boardwalk starting at the boat launch located near the main dock. Second was for in-kind support, and I'll have 2 recommendations coming forward for Council's consideration shortly. Committee also discussed the appointment of an assessment review commissioner, an amendment to policy F0002, as well as a donation to Expo Labrador. Recommendations will be forthcoming. Committee discussed several other items, including the fiscal year annual circular and tax recovery plan, which showed an increase in the municipal operating grant of approximately 12%. The forms will be completed for review at the June committee meeting. Committee was pleased to see an update on accounts that have gone to collections and agreed other courses of action should be considered to collect arrears. There was a brief discussion on the implications of taxing and regulating ride-sharing providers, such as Uber, and committee agreed that further discussion is required. There be no further business. The meeting adjourned at 5:36 p.m. Committee is scheduled to meet again on June 17th. With that, I move that council accept the committee's report as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Palmer. We're looking for a seconder. Councillor Compton-Hobbs. Any questions or comments? Barring none, calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. And your recommendations, Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Donation request, Labrador Hunting and Fishing Association. The FAP committee recommends council approve a monetary donation of $2,000 to the Labrador Hunting and Fishing Association for the tax year 2024.
Calling for a seconder, Councillor Compton-Hobbs. Any questions or comments? Barring none, calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
In-kind donation request from the Labrador Hunting and Fishing Association. The FAP committee recommends council deny the request for tipping fee exemption and in-kind grading as under policy F0020. Organizations cannot be the recipient of other financial assistance from the town.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Palmer. I'm looking for a seconder. Councillor Winters. Any questions or comments?
My
Council-
comments around this, Chair Broomfield, is, I know other roads are getting graded for courtesy, so looking to have a road graded, and to say that there's a policy there that doesn't allow this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna be consistent, because there's other roads in this community that are being graded out of courtesy. So I don't understand that.
Yeah, just to, I think in this case, the issue was for grading the road as well as providing an exemption of tipping fees. There was no details given in terms of what that would entail. So right now, as debris is brought to the landfill, whether it's contracted through another company or how the work is going to happen, then the town is required to charge a tipping fee. In this case, they asked for, I guess, an exemption on tipping fees, but in the fact that we provided a $2,000 donation, our policy F0020 does not allow us to provide other supports that are of monetary value. Having said that, though, I'd certainly be open to reviewing policy F0020 at some point with the support of committee and on a go-forward basis.
Thank you, Councillor Palmer. Any further questions or comments? Okay, barring none, calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Are you opposed?
I am.
Okay, so 3 in favor, or 4, 5 in favor and 1 opposed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next recommendation, appointment of Assessment Review Commissioner. The FAP committee recommends council appoint Dave Pollock as Assessment Review Commissioner for the town of Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Thank you. Calling for a seconder on this, Councillor Compton-Hobbs. Any questions or comments? Okay, barring none, calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, policy F.
No, against? Mayor Andrews, you there?
I think we've lost him.
Yeah, I already said aye.
Okay, thank you. So all in 4. Motion's passed.
Policy F0002. The FAP Committee recommends Council approve the amendments to policy F0002 as presented.
Calling for the seconder on the amendment. Councilor Winters, any questions or comments?
Yeah, just to clarify, Chair, this policy was brought before Council last May regarding the arena fees for summer and winter fees. There was a difference that was brought forward. There was an amendment last May that was brought forward, approved by Council. That amendment was not, the revision to the policy was not updated. It was not brought forward when we adopted our policies in the new year. It was an oversight, and just basically wanted to make sure that the policy that's
So this is
for
just
this
to
year.
include lice rental, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and soccer rentals
Yes.
and turf
Yeah.
rentals. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Barring none, calling for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
A Expo sponsorship. The FAP Committee recommends Council sponsor a panel discussion session at this year's Expo Labrador for in the amount of $2,500.
Thank you. We'll call for a seconder. Okay, Council Captain Hobbs. Any questions or comments? Barring none, calling for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you for your report and your motions there, Council Pomeroy.
Thank you, Chair.
And Protective Services, Councilor Winters.
Thank you, Councilor Broomfield. Municipal Protective Services Committee meeting was Monday, May 13th, 2024 at 4:45. Present were Chair Councilor Todd Winters, Councilor Jackie Compton Hobbs, CAO Nadine McCauley, Superintendent of Public Works Randy Chambers, Director of Public Services Brad Butler, Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy, regrets Councilor Burt Pomeroy, Superintendent Water and Sewer Keith Pye, and Director of Randy Dillon, Engineering Randy Dillon. Meeting was called to order at 4:48. There was approval of the agenda. We had no delegations and a review of previous minutes and action items. I believe there was one error. I think in the minutes it was listed that Brad Butler was Fire Chief and not Director of Municipal or Protective Services. Am I correct in saying that? All right. And other than that, there was no other omissions or errors. Action items update were reviewed and relevant updates noted. Here are some action item highlights. Number one, spring cleanup status is cleanup started on May 13th for 6 weeks. The committee will look at a fall cleanup if funds are available. Number two, pet tag event. The status is scheduled for May 25th, 2024 from 11 to 3. Information to follow. And number three was the bike rodeo. MEO Pool is working with the RCMP. No date yet confirmed yet. During the discussion, the use of electric scooters was added for the MEO Pool to discuss with the RCMP. New business policy regarding traffic calming. Committee reviewed the policy and agreed to bring it forward to the May Council meeting. Recommendation to follow. Other business discussion information. The yard waste dump is open and there are plans to install a gate. Foreman and MEO will patrol daily and trail cameras will be placed in the area. Town staff will monitor over the next 30 days so that any misuse is recorded so that those that do misuse will be identified and dealt with accordingly. Town cleanup and security. Town cleanup, there was discussion about cleaning up the trails that are issues are recurring every year. The Superintendent of Public Works said that the roads and side roads were determined are the priority of the department. Regarding security, discussing regarding what routes and areas service providers are patrolling. Director of Public Services Brad Butler advised the service provider will patrol whatever routes and areas council would like patrolled. Chair was to send an email to council requesting input for areas and routes they would like patrolled to the director and all of council, and that has been done. Dilapidated buildings. After discussion, committee was informed that MEO Pool is working on a list prioritizing those that require immediate attention. The next meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 10th at 4:45. The meeting adjourned at 6:02.
Thank you, Councilor Winters. Looking for a seconder for the Councilor Winters report. Okay.
I'll second the report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, Councillor Cotton Hobbs.
Couple things. Public safety, we did provide a list, so hopefully now Garda will hit all these areas where there's a lot of issues going on around town. It's in our face, it's out there. You know, there's concerned citizens in our community, seniors, children. There's some activity that should not be happening in our community. And you know, I hope with the new list that we provided to Garda that they report anything they see illegally, and anybody out there who sees anything illegally, report it. We did meet with the RCMP, and you know, we voiced our concerns, and I hope that Garda will, like I said, report whatever they see, and the public as well. Never turn a blind eye. If you see something going on out there that shouldn't be going on, then call the RCMP. The trails, we had a brief discussion in the committee meeting about the trails, and the trails are disgusting, to say the least, disgusting. And I hope that somewhere along the way it's gonna be a priority for someone to clean up the mess that's out there, because if you go out on the trails on an ATV, you can't get through some of them because there's too much garbage. So we can't turn a blind eye as a council and a town. Someone has to be responsible for this mess that's out there. And it's disgusting, it's gross, it's an eyesore, it's just not healthy. And we've received complaints from some of the neighborhood on 10th Street and Hunt Street and them areas. I mean, they have some serious concerns. And I've been on this council a long time and heard some of the same complaints for a long time. Something has to, you know, something has to give here. Like, it's frustrating. You know, to go out there, imagine going out on an ATV with a family and children and coming across intoxicated, you know, male and female, and they're out there fighting and doing whatever out there, and then you come across all this garbage just out there. It's just, I can't put it any nicer than disgusting. Quite frustrating. And I want to talk about, in the committee, we talked about the complaint policy, and I think it's great, and hats off to the staff for this Access E11, constant contact and whatever. I recently, and I've ran into some concerns from senior residents in the past, but as a counselor, as an elected official, I should be able to call, and I've said this many, many times, town management, and say, I've received a complaint, and they're telling me to go back and enter it on Access E11, or call this number, 896-3322. Well, it doesn't always work like that, and I found that very frustrating as well. If I got a senior who calls me, who got legitimate concerns, and I call the town as an elected official, we were elected by the people. Every one of us sitting around this table were elected, voted in here by the people. So if I can't take a complaint from a concerned citizen, I am very frustrated with that. And I'll even go a step further. I'm organizing a senior luncheon for Friday. We've asked the seniors to email us. We've had several people who had to contact us in other ways to register for this luncheon Friday, because guess what? They don't have computers. They don't know how to use computers. They certainly cannot go on Access E11 and put in a complaint. So I'm going to continue doing that. I know I'm getting pushback from management to say you have to do the right route. And this, we are not taking anonymous complaints. If I call in a complaint and I say that the person wants to be anonymous due to repercussions or retaliation or whatever, you know, as you can tell, I'm frustrated with this, because I think we should be able to call in as an elected official with a, you know, if there's enough seriousness to the complaint, we should be able to call it in. I mean, if it's common sense that something that you can just call one of the manager up and say, whatever, like, can you deal with this? There's a bag of garbage on Hamilton River Road or whatever. That's pretty straightforward. But something, you know, more serious, we should be able to call it in. And I'll just leave it at that. And one more thing, dilapidated buildings. We've been talking about some of the same properties for years and years and years that needs to be dealt with. It's the same thing every month, same properties. There needs to be action.
Thank you, Councilor Copenhagen. Any further questions or comments? Barring none, calling for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, and Councilor Winters, you have one resolution, or motion.
One recommendation, yeah. Thank you, Councillor Broomfield. Municipal Services Practice Services Committee, Policy PW0045, Traffic Calming. The Municipal and Protective Services Committee recommends Council approve a policy PW0045, Traffic Calming, as enclosed in the Council package.
Thank you. Looking for a second for Councilor Winters' motion. Councilor Rumble, thank you. Any questions or comments? Councilor Pomeroy?
Yes, Councillor Winters, could you just give us a brief overview of what that means? Like in
Yes,
terms
the
of-
policy is surrounding the placement of speed humps around schools and playground areas. And it also, in the policy, gives leeway for anyone, or so if an investigation into high-speed areas, and if the MEO has a suggestion, he will bring it to committee for placement of another speed hump in high-traffic areas, or where speeding is taking place.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Okay, barring none, calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. That's all of our committee reports. Next item is no.
Sorry, Chair, I just had one quick question. Just going by the council package, there was another recommendation from Councillor Winters, but I don't see it here. Is it not coming forward? The yard waste. In our package, you have a recommendation that
No,
we
it's not on my
install
sheet.
and employ.
No,
Okay, that was just for
discussion.
information
Yeah.
purposes. Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, so calling from now, the last item is the approval of the checks.
Just a question for the CAO, as there's 3 checks on here for councillors for attending conferences. Can they be brought forward even though our names are on the checks, or on the list of checks?
Yes.
Okay, because it's business of the town?
Yes.
Okay. all right,
But
thanks.
can I just ask another question of that? The last meeting, I had to remove myself and council voted on it,
Yeah.
because I was on there.
Yeah, I think that issue.
We never ever done it before, that was the first time I
Yeah,
ever done
the
that.
last time, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's basically covering costs within the town.
Yeah, it was town business, so I never ever removed myself before,
Okay,
but we did do that.
all right, so we got clarification from the CAO. So I move that council approve checks in the amount of $916,392.23.
Thank you. Looking for a second. Councilor Rumble. Any questions or comments? Councilor Copenhagen.
I got a comment. I see 2 checks on there, for CGI Development Capital Crane. One is May the 6th to the 31st for the amount of $36,587.95. And the second check on there for Capital Crane is $43,624.10. This is for the rental of the depot. I don't know, I don't support them checks. I never will support the rental payment to Capital Crane. I think it's a complete waste of money. And I won't support them checks. Can we deduct those, or I just don't support the checks overall? I don't know the answer to that. Can you answer?
You don't deduct that.
So just the whole checks in general?
Any further questions or comments?
Yeah,
Councilor Winters.
Yes, I see a check for the YMCA of Newfoundland and Labrador for $101,989. Is that monthly, or is that bi-weekly, is that monthly or quarterly, or what does that figure represent?
It's likely
So this is,
I haven't seen the check yet, so I'm not sure.
yeah, so this is 1 month? Not quarterly, it's 1 month?
Yes. Unless there are additional
Six,
invoices
two,
on there.
three.
It's near the end, 27623. For $101,989.48. I'm just wondering if it's rental, does it have to do with the mortgage, and is it monthly, bi-weekly, or sorry, again?
So the monthly rental,
Yeah,
yeah, would be one.
yeah,
And then the monthly operating cost would be another, but there may be other invoices as
okay,
well.
Okay, just, it's basically from March 2024, from March 2024.
for March, so that's.
March, April, May, I guess. So it
March,
would be
April, and May?
May, it says
Quarterly?
March 2024, May 2024, total amount 100
2 months.
and, yeah,
For 2 months.
March, May.
Yeah, if I can, I've seen the multiple, when I sign checks, I've seen multiple months being included in the same invoice that they send us, so we pay that amount, but it may represent 2-3 months,
Okay,
plus some other things that may get added in.
all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Barring none, calling for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One opposed, thank you. So that is it for the official things, councilors forum. So I'll start first, I guess, with Councilor Winters, on my immediate left.
Thank you, Councilor Brumfield, and I have to say, thank you for taking over the chair. You've done a wonderful job this evening.
Thank you.
I just have one thing, is the Lab Cup coming up. Just like to welcome all the participants coming in from out of town, and all the players that are playing this weekend. Like I said before, leave it all on the floor, have fun, enjoy our town, and have a safe tournament. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Compton Hobbs.
Yeah, first of all, I was a big advocate of Todd Clements, and he won the Canadian, the favorite house guest for Big Brother Canada. Just to clarify, I've never met Todd Clements in my life. I don't know him, but I was a strong advocate because I thought he done very well on the show. He put Happy Valley Goose Bay on the map more than once over his 3 months that he was on the program, and hats off to you, Todd. You done a great job, and I'll meet you someday. The Labrador Cup, I want to wish everyone the best of luck the weekend. There's a lot of teams. There's a lot of excited fans. Get out and support, and watch and cheer on some great soccer players the weekend. And hopefully, like I said earlier, there's not too many injuries. And of course, this wouldn't be possible without the volunteers and the coaches and the refs and so on. So hats off to everybody who was involved in organizing this 40th Labrador Cup this weekend. I think they're going to have a huge turnout. There's lots of hype in the community. And congratulations to Leo and Mary Abbas. They're doing a fine job on the Heart of Labrador 50 Plus Club. They got over 200 members, and they're certainly busy with planning activities. I noticed their latest one was a site visit at Muskrat Falls, and there seemed to be a lot of interest. I saw over 90 names of people wanting to go, so that's great for the community. I'm sure that, the town will be there to offer any assistance that we can to support this wonderful group. And one more thing I want to touch on, because I've touched on it many, many times since I've been a town councillor in January of last year on this term. We have a little over a year left, and I am so frustrated with communication on this council. Communication amongst the council, a communication again between management and the council. It's like pulling teeth, and I don't blame management, because I've seen management also express their frustration with not receiving responses on emails. I should not have to send an email 3 or 4 times before I get a response, and You know, council is guilty too. When you're asking a question, or when you wanna communicate something, or when you hear of something that's been at the town office for months and we don't know about it, it's very frustrating. Again, we are the elected officials. We should have open communication. We talk about council campaigned on transparency and accountability and everything else that goes with it. Then this starts at this table with the council. So I'd like to see some improvement. We only got a little over a year left on this term, so there needs to be improvement in communication all the way around. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Councilor Knott. Councilor Pomeroy.
Yes, thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to extend a formal welcome to our new Human Resources Manager, Christina Edgar. I look forward to working with you in fostering a positive working relationship and environment and supporting our employees and ensuring that our policies align with our values. So look forward to your leadership and perspectives over the next while. Hopefully you're here for a while. Mr. Chair, as a town council, we have responsibility to advocate on behalf of our residents, even when those issues and concerns are outside of our jurisdiction. Talking specifically about the issues around public safety and security, particularly as it relates to the quote-unquote transient population. These individuals, many of whom are struggling with mental health and addictions, are often vulnerable and in need of supports. However, as has been the case in previous years, their presence has also led to a significant increase in criminal activity, with many individuals committing crimes and not being held accountable. Residents are fed up, and so they should be. Very disheartening when you hear seniors in the town that have been here for 60, 70 years say it's not the town they know, and they're very, they don't feel safe in their homes anymore, they don't feel safe in their neighborhoods, and that's very disheartening to hear. Provincial government has a critical role to play here in addressing the root causes of these problems, which is basically mental health and addictions. Despite our efforts as a town to raise these concerns, we continue to struggle with a lack of support from the province, in my view. Last year, we received, I believe it was $500,000. Was it $500,000? $500,000 last year from the province for public safety initiatives, which we have used to hire a private security company to patrol areas around town and report suspicious activity. The word here is report. It's good to see some security measures put in place, but in my view, you know, that money we received from the province was hush money, so that we would stop complaining and pushing the province for more measures to deal with the issues at hand. In my view, the province needs to do more to increase security in our community by providing additional resources to the RCMP. The province claims that it doesn't tell the RCMP how to run its operations, but yet the province funds the RCMP, so it makes no sense to say we don't tell them what to do, and at the same time not give them enough money to do what they need to do. Very insufficient. Province needs to be more proactive and in supporting public safety initiatives here in our community. Residents deserve better, and as town council, it's our responsibility to be their voice and advocate on their behalf and for their needs. We need to do more. We just can't sit by and watch as our town is being taken over. It's time for the province to step up, and we need to be pushing the province to do so. I'll leave it at. Well, just one more comment about Todd Clements. Yes, I was on the flight when he got on the flight with me in Halifax last week, and once he recognized some familiar faces, he was grinning from ear to ear. He was happy to be back. It was a long 90 days for him, and he was greeted at the airport by family and friends, and he did a great job. Big Brother Big Canada, I hadn't really watched the program in the past, but he got me to become a fan, and certainly left an impression, I guess, with those who were a part of the show, and I'm sure everybody that was involved with Big Brother Canada know exactly where Happy Valley Goose Bay is now on the map, and a lot about our community. So thanks, Todd, and Leave it at that.
Thank you, Councilor Pomeroy. Councilor Rumble.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to try not to duplicate too many things that everybody else has said. I'm going to start with, we are at the end of May, but May was Mental Health Month. And I'd like to throw a bouquet to Karen Hopkins, NL Health Services, anybody who was involved in this initiative with the positivity campaign that took place this past month. There were hidden rocks. You went anywhere in town, you saw a hidden rock with a positive message. I also saw through my social media that they were at the arena during the Junior Lab Cup with Post-it notes with positive messages. It is so wonderful to see initiatives like this in our community. So hats off to them. They deserve a bouquet. And just because May was Mental Health Month doesn't mean we have to stop the positivity. So I would love to see that continue on, but hats off to them. We transition into June, which is Pride Month. And thank you to the Safe Alliance members that were here this evening. Anybody who caught that prior to our meeting, you could see the contingent that they had. It just seems like it gets bigger every year, and I'm sure there were many people that weren't able to make it here this evening. So what we saw was just a fraction of who they have working with their Safe Alliance group. So thank you, and we look forward to seeing the Pride flag hanging outside of our town hall. Still in May, on May 26th, 1972, it was the 52nd anniversary of the local Connect Club. I'm sitting here in the room. I don't know about Kathy, Kelsey, and Christina and Nadine, but I know myself and Councillor Compton Hobbs are both former Connects. 52 years of doing good in this community. And that is to be commended. And we still see them. I think when Jackie and I were members, we were small but mighty. And you find now with service groups, it's usually a very small core group of people that do a lot of good work. So I would really like to commend them for the work that they do. Junior Lab Cup is just behind us. And wow, I really think Junior Lab Cup is giving Senior Lab Cup a run for its money. The attendance, the interest, it's amazing how this has manifested into such a big event as well. And the spirit of fun in a youth event where they still have the sheer joy of it. Not to say that they're not competitive and not to say that the older ones don't have joy, but it's great to see our young athletes out to an event such as that, which brings me to the upcoming Lab Cup. So first games tomorrow evening, a full weekend right until Sunday. We welcome all the people that are traveling to our community, and I'm sure everybody is looking forward. I can't wait to go and buy my tournament pass. I also have the grad at College of the North Atlantic recently occurred. Hats off to all the graduates. You worked really hard, and your hard work pays off, and there were a lot of proud people standing there with their diplomas this year. And before we have our next public council meeting, Mealy Mountain Collegiate will have had their prom as well. So we know they're getting really excited. They've got a safe grad planned, as they do every year. Class of 1991, and we had a safe grad. So I'm glad to see that initiative. I'm glad to see the parent volunteers and all the work that they're putting into making sure that they have a special safe night for the graduates this year. A couple more things. Cleanup. So I want to commend the local committee that was formed last year that has once again resurrected that, and they have plans for a local community cleanup. Also, the hired workers are out that the town has on. You'll see them with their vests on. They're out picking up garbage. None of this is going to work if we don't all do our part. Littering, I can't fathom the thought of throwing your coffee cup on the ground rather than carrying it with you until you get to a garbage can. So I would really like everybody to be cognizant about making sure that you do not litter. And as Councillor Winters mentioned in his report, the municipal yard waste, that has got to now be patrolled. It's got to be watched, because we had people that couldn't even figure out the difference between old tires and a bag of leaves. So make sure, it's a great thing to have, but we're going to lose it if people can't respect it. So make sure that everybody, by all means, we look forward to everybody, in a responsible manner, taking their yard waste to the municipal yard. A&M Construction, hats off to you. There's my other bouquet on the Gosling Lake campground. So you can find them on Facebook at Gosling Lake Campground, or they've got a website, goslinglake.com. We have all seen for years campers that have come into town. They've parked here at the town hall, they've parked at the college, they've parked at the chamber. We now have a viable option for campers, and I just encourage everybody to check out their website and see what they have to offer. Municipalities, Newfoundland and Labrador held a symposium in May, and one of the comments that was released, a public statement was released by the MNL president, Amy Cody, and she talked about the effect of bullying and cyberbullying on municipal officials. Cody says so-called keyboard warriors don't seem to be aware of the impact their activities are having on people who work for their communities. She says people who think it's okay to say things online, throwing people's names out there without giving a thought to how it's going to affect them or the councils that they're working on has an impact. And cyberbullying can have a dampening effect on attracting people in the future to run for council. So I just thought it was great that the Municipalities of Newfoundland and Labrador Association has addressed this. We all teach our children not to bully, and it's very important that we lead by example. My final thing, and I did have a big list and I apologize, is to offer condolences to Deputy Mayor Wallace and her family. I hate that I have to do this once again. She just recently lost her father-in-law, and we would like to let the Wallace family know that we are thinking of them, and we recognize that this has been a really hard go for them, and our thoughts and prayers are with them. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Romo. Mayor Randers, you want to have a word?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. Again, I'd like to welcome Christine on behalf of Council as our HR Director to Happy Valley Goose Bay and to the town of Happy Valley Goose Bay. So we look forward to working very closely with her. Just want to note that some councillors are attending the Federation of Canadian Municipalities meetings coming up in Calgary in a few short days. So look forward to hearing what information they're bringing back from that meeting. Just a reminder and reiterate what Councillor Rumbold said in terms of cleanup and the community committee that was formed last year with a tremendously overwhelming, tremendous success last year, and they're going to continue that. So, wherever and whenever, however we can kick in, clean up your neighborhood, clean up around your workplace, but just to work on that and keep our community looking like it should be. And, if you happen to be out on the ATV and happen to see some garbage around, by all means, clean up that as well and pitch in where we can. Congrats to, I guess, many, many years of volunteers and many, many years of many people who have made the Live Cup and now the Junior Live Cup a tremendous success and a community pillar from a sports and recreation perspective in our community. And celebrating, looking at some of the pictures of the young Trevor Payne, it really brings back a lot of memories from many years ago. So congrats to those two organizing groups, a tremendously successful Junior Live Cup, and I have no doubt that the Senior Live Cup will go the same as well. So that's all from me. I think everything else was said. Just the last one, because I have a daughter who will graduate from Mealy Mountain and the deputy mayor as well. Just a hats off to tremendous success to our grads. There's almost 100 kids that will graduate again from Mealy Mountain and go into their future endeavors and their future lives. So we want to wish them and all the parents and their families congratulations, because it is definitely a team effort, and I'm sure it takes a community to raise a child. It's one of the mottos that we see on our board. With that, sir, I'd like to thank you, Councillor Broomfield, for filling in, and you did an absolutely excellent job. So hats off to you, sir. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Okay, I just got a couple of items here real short this evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the Self-Reliance delegate that was here this evening. It's nice to have people show up in our council. It makes us feel important and that we're doing something. Next, I'd like to welcome our HR Director, Christine, to us. Welcome to the town of Happy Valley Goose Bay, in the town of Happy Valley Goose Bay, to live here. It's useless, and I wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors here. The first thing I'd like to really thank is the spring cleaners. We got our spring cleaning on the go. They've been doing a pretty good job, in my opinion, and it's nice to see it and seeing this town being cleaned up. And it's really something that has to be done every spring, just the garbage that collects over the winter. The other item I'd like to mention is that the Y is having an open house, from what I understand, from June the 1st to the 5th next week. So it's there for everyone to go visit, see what they have there to offer us, and take advantage of everything and hopefully become a member down the road. The other one is I'd like to welcome everybody here coming this week to the Lab Cup. That includes all the spectators and the participants, because without spectators, there's really not much there to put off for everybody. My last comment or thing I'd like to ask, or a question, because there's someone made the comment here that the seniors group that was here, they visited Muskrat Falls, the site visit. I thought we were, as a council, were supposed to visit that too. I've never done it yet myself, right? But
Join the seniors group.
Are you 50 plus?
yes, I am. Like a few others. So other than that, that's the last thing I'd like to say, and call for a motion to cease the meeting. Okay, Councilman Hodge, looking for a seconder? Councilor Rumble, thank you. Motion to adjourn. Thank you. 6:36.